Silent Hill. A game loved by many, played by a few. Did you ever wanted to know what it's all about but then realize that the game is probably older than you? Well, don't worry. In this video I will tell you all about it as fast as possible. So, let's start. In Silent Hill we will play as Harry Mason, an everyday man who's on a trip with his daughter to somewhere and they seem to be having the day of their lives. But all of this comes to a stop when Harry tries to avoid a person that decided to stand in the middle of the road, which causes him to lose control of his car and crash. Harry then wakes up in the entrance of a town that seems to be under a thick fog, but his daughter is nowhere near. So he starts looking for her, and it doesn't take him that long to find her. But while trying to talk to her, Cheryl, that's his daughter's name, ignores him and continues with her path. So Harry follows her until he arrives at an alley, where something seems to be off, and where instead of Cheryl, Harry finds a hanging body and some little creatures that end up killing him. Or not, because Harry wakes up in a restaurant where a police officer called Sybil Bennett asks him if he knows what's going on with the town. But since Harry just arrived here and not by his own choice, they change of topic. And Harry asks her if she has seen his daughter around, which Sybil hasn't. And after chatting a little bit more, Sybil tells him that she's gonna go get reinforcements, but Harry wants to keep looking for his daughter. So instead of, arresting him and taking him with her, Sybil goes away, but not before giving Harry a pistol, just in case. Harry then decides to go to the alley where he died, to see if Cheryl is in there, but when he arrives, the only thing that he finds is her notebook, a rusty pipe, and a note that says, "To the school." So... Once Harry arrives at the school, he realizes that Cheryl isn't here either. But he decides to explore the place anyway, and after crossing the clock tower that is in the middle of the school with some plates that he found, he arrives to the same place. But something seems different. Harry then starts looking around, and after encountering another human body hanging inside a stall with a shotgun and a text that reads "Do not run, the monster looks" next to it, Harry arrives to a room full of phones, where Cheryl calls him. But sadly, the signal gets lost. Harry then continues with his exploration until he arrives to the library, where he finds a book called The Monster Lurks, that talks about how poltergeists are triggered by negative emotions and how only adolescents, especially girls, are prone to them. He also finds another book about a fairy tale where a hunter kills a lizard shooting an arrow through its mouth. After this, Harry arrives at the boiler room, where he has to fight a creature that looks similar to the one of the fairy tale, and oddly enough, Harry ends up defeating it the same way as the hunter. But this only makes Harry faint out, and after having a vision of a girl that isn't Cheryl, he wakes up in the normal boiler room, where he hears some church bells ringing. So... Harry then reaches the church, where he is greeted by a very strange woman, who tells him that she was expecting him to take the flowers. Between all of this, she also tells him that he needs to go to the hospital. So... Entering the hospital, Harry hears gunshots coming from a room, and inside it, he finds a guy who just killed one of the creatures, and who almost kills Harry too. Luckily, he dodges the bullet and starts talking with the guy, whose name is Michael Kaufman, a doctor that works there who, like everyone else, doesn't know what's going on. But unlike Harry, he thinks Cheryl is definitely dead. And after chatting a little bit more, and after Harry tells him about his dead wife because... Kaufman leaves the room. So Harry starts exploring the place, and after finding a newspaper with a missing article and a red liquid, he is able to fix the elevator and goes to the last floor. Here, he has another vision of the girl and realizes that the hospital, like the school, has changed. And after picking up a lot of plates, fitting up what seems to be Cthulhu and creating an indoor fire, he reaches a hidden part of the hospital, where he finds a damaged VHS tape and a room with just one bed and one photo of a girl with the name Alessa written on it, who looks a lot like the girl from the visions Harry has been having. After checking more of the place, Harry then goes inside a room where he meets Lisa Garland, a nurse that works at the hospital who doesn't know what's going on, hasn't seen Cheryl, and doesn't even know about the hidden room. But don't worry, because Harry is going to tell her about it. Harry then wakes up in a hospital bed, but instead of Lisa, he encounters the odd woman, whose name is Dahlia Gillespie, who tells Harry that the town is being devoured by darkness and that between all of this, she also tells him that he needs to stop the Mark of Samael from being completed, and that he needs to go to the other church. So... Wait. I almost forgot to tell you that Harry also visits the police station of the town, but he can do this throughout his search for the hospital or throughout his search for the other church. Whatever, the point is that here, Harry finds a note that talks about how Officer Gucci died from natural causes, even though he didn't have any prior symptoms of heart disease. Harry also finds a chalkboard that seems to have information about an ongoing investigation, which talks about how a plant of the region called White Claudia seems to be used to create some kind of drug. Okay, let's continue. Harry then arrives at an antique shop where he finds a hidden tunnel, but before crossing it, he's stopped by Sybil, who tells him that all the roads are blocked, the cars, phones and radios don't work, and even worse, she saw a little girl heading to the lake, but she was floating. Harry then tells Sybil about Dahlia and all the weird stuff she's been saying. So Sybil tells him that she is probably another drug addict, since the place is well known for drug activity, and maybe that's why she says that the town is being devoured by darkness. Obviously, Harry thinks otherwise because... After all of this, Harry decides to go inside the hidden tunnel, and at the end of it, he finds what seems to be the other church, since there's an altar and a little more. But while trying to go back, the altar lights up by itself and makes Harry disappear. Harry then wakes up in the hospital where he is greeted by Lisa, and here Harry learns that Dahlia had a daughter who died in a fire, that Silent Hill once had a cult, and that prominent figures that tried to develop the city kept dying in accidents. After learning all of this, Harry faints out again, and wakes up in another room, where he starts to question his sanity. But he has a daughter to find, and remembering that Sybil told him that she saw a little girl going to the lake, even though the roads were blocked, he decides to go and ask Lisa for an alternative route. And after going through the mall, where he sees Cheryl in a bunch of TVs and has to fight a giant larva, Harry reaches the hospital, where he finds Lisa, who tells him that the only way to go to the lake is through the sewers. But before Harry can go, Lisa tries to stop him because she doesn't want to be alone. But Harry has to go get his daughter, so he tells Lisa that she can follow him and he's going to protect her. But she says she can't because she feels she needs to be there. And after killing a big moth and crossing the sewers, Harry finally arrives at the resort area of Silent Hill. Here, after exploring for a bit, Harry enters a bar where he finds Kaufman being attacked by a creature. So Harry saves him and both have a conversation, during which Harry asks him if he knows a girl named Alyssa, which he says he doesn't, and goes away. Harry, alone again, investigates the place and finds what seems to be Kaufman's wallet, and inside it, he discovers a key and a receipt that has a code written on it. Using this code, Harry is able to get inside a store where he finds a diary that talks about a man that came into the store to pick up a package that a woman left there, a safe that has a bunch of drugs inside it, and a note with another code. So, using this other code, Harry gains access to the main building of the motel, where he finds even more things, like a motorcycle and another diary, which talks about how he is probably linked to the mysterious deaths of the place. And remember the key? Well, Harry uses it to get inside a room where he finds another key, which ends up being the key of the motorcycle. After all of this, Harry continues with his journey and ends up in a boat, where he meets Sybil once again, and she asks him if he knows what's going on. So Harry tells her about his conspiracy theory, that is, that the town is being invaded by the other world, which is the nightmare of someone, and in some way, Cheryl is part of it. But before Sybil can make sense of all that, Dahlia Gillespie enters the boat and starts telling Harry that the demon is awakening and that the demon will save the land. Between all of this, she tells Harry that he needs to hurry up and go to the amusement park and the lighthouse to stop the demon, which seems to be taking the form of the little girl Harry has been seeing, before it finishes the Mark of Samael. Sybil then offers to go to the amusement park, so... Sadly, Harry is too late, so he decides to go back to the boat to wait for Sybil. But after a while, he notices that Sybil hasn't come back yet. So he goes to the amusement park, and after going through more sewers and killing some monsters, he finds her. But she doesn't seem to be as friendly as before. And after fighting her, Harry then encounters the little girl, who attacks Harry, which activates the flowers, which attacks her. But plot twist! It turns out that the little girl is Alessa Gillespie, the daughter of Dahlia Gillespie, who has been using Harry all this time because she couldn't get near her daughter. But thanks to the Floros, now she can. So she takes Alessa with her and Harry faints out. The man then wakes up in what seems to be the hospital with Lisa at his side, and after a conversation where Lisa tells him that she went to the secret room and didn't find nothing but she felt like she took part of something down there, she goes away and Harry starts exploring. But it doesn't take too long for him to find Lisa once again, and here she tells Harry that she is still alive because she is like the others, and starts asking Harry to stay with her. But Harry has more important things to do, so he goes away, and then comes back. But instead of Lisa, he just finds Lisa's diary, which talks about how she was tired of having to deal with a patient and the other occurrences surrounding her. Oh, and also that she was basically a drug addict. After exploring and solving some puzzles, Harry then enters a room where he finds a book that talks about how the White Claudius seeds were used for religious ceremonies thanks to its hallucinogenic effects. And remember the missing article of the newspaper of the hospital? Well, it's here. And it talks about PTB dealers still at large, suspicious deaths, and a fire that broke out in the town which destroyed 6 homes and almost killed a girl. A girl named Alessa Gillespie. And weirdly enough, the same day that the fire happened, Harry and his wife found Cheryl, hinting that Cheryl is adopted. Harry then continues with his exploration, and after watching the damaged VHS tape where Lisa talks about her weird patient, and entering a room where the ghost of Alessa is hiding under a table, and entering another one that looks like the one that Harry found in the hospital that seems to be playing a memory where Dahlia, Kaufman and 2 more people are around the bed talking about things, Harry arrives to what seems to be a little girl's room, with things like toys and drawings scattered everywhere. Here, he is able to open a door that leads him to what seems to be a house, where he witnesses the abuse that Dahlia inflicted upon Alessa when she was younger. Once this is over, Harry heads down the stairs where he encounters Dahlia, Alessa, and whatever is that. And here, Dahlia explains that the Mark of Samael was actually the talisman of Metatron, and that the girl wasn't trying to destroy the world, but she was actually trying to save it. Oh, and that Cheryl is now Alessa and that they are going to be the mother of God. But since this game has different endings... If Harry uses the key to check the motorcycle, which contains the Aglophadis vial, and saves Sybil using the red liquid found in the hospital, then Harry will have to fight the Incubus, and after defeating it, Alessa will give him a baby and he and Sybil will be able to get out of there. If Harry uses the key to check the motorcycle but doesn't save Sybil, then the same thing will happen, except that this time Harry will get out alone. Now, if Harry doesn't use the key but saves Sybil, then he will have to fight the deity born from Alessa, and after defeating it, Cheryl will say goodbye to him, making him go into shock, only to be awakened by Sybil while the place falls apart. And if Harry doesn't use the key and doesn't save Sybil either, then the same will happen, except that at the end, no one will wake up Harry. And in a last screen, we will be able to see that Harry actually died in the car accident, and that everything was just a dream of an agonizing man. Oh, and if Harry uses the channeling stone on the roof of the school, the hospital, the parking lot of the motel, the boat and the lighthouse, then some ovnis will arrive to Earth and take Harry away.